That's not like taffy. Those things do hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The nice thing is they don't come loose, like the porcupines that we have in Michigan.
Right.
For decades, Dr. Jan-Pol, the beloved veterinarian from the incredible Dr. Pol, has warmed hearts across the world. With his thick Dutch accent, old-school approach, and boundless compassion for animals, he became a household name. Millions tuned in to watch him heal everything from family pets to farm animals, often in the harshest conditions. But now, heartbreaking news has left fans in disbelief. At 82 years old, Dr. Pol has revealed a diagnosis that changes everything. The man who dedicated his entire life to saving others, both animal and human, is facing a battle of his own. Fans are in shock, the veterinary world is shaken. And even his closest colleagues say the reality of his condition has been difficult to accept. Over the years, Dr. Pol has survived farm accidents, long days in freezing weather, and the toll of a career that demands both physical and emotional strength. Yet nothing could prepare him, or his loyal fans, for this moment. What's most heartbreaking isn't just his diagnosis, but how he's handling it. With the same humility, humor, and courage that made him famous, Dr. Pol continues to show us what true strength looks like. But as he prepares to say goodbye to the clinic that defined his life, the reality is sinking in. An era is coming to an end. This is the story of Dr. Pol's remarkable life, his passion for animals, and the heartbreaking truth that has left fans in tears. Long before television cameras followed his every move, Jan-Pol was just a farm boy in the Netherlands. Born in 1942, he grew up surrounded by animals, cows, pigs, chickens, and learned at an early age the value of hard work. Life on a rural farm meant early mornings, long winters, and a deep respect for living creatures. By the time he was a teenager, Pol knew he wanted to dedicate his life to veterinary medicine. He studied at Utrecht University, one of Europe's top veterinary schools, and earned his degree before setting out to make his mark. In the early 1970s, he and his wife Diane moved to the United States, chasing the dream of a simpler life. They eventually settled in Weidman, Michigan, a small rural town where his skills were desperately needed. There, Dr. Pol founded Pol Veterinary Services, a clinic that would soon become legendary for its no-nonsense, hands-on approach. He wasn't afraid to roll up his sleeves, climb into barns, or brave blizzards to save an animal in distress. His motto was simple: treat every animal like it's your own. For decades, Pol's reputation grew through word of mouth. Farmers trusted him, families adored him, and eventually, National Geographic took notice. In 2011, the incredible Dr. Pol premiered, a show that would transform a small-town vet into a global icon. But behind the cameras, the toll of his work was immense. The long hours, unpredictable emergencies, and physical strain were relentless. Still, Pol never slowed down. That's why when the news of his diagnosis broke, fans were heartbroken. Because if there was one man who seemed unstoppable, it was Dr. Pol. When the news of Dr. Jan-Pol's diagnosis surfaced, it felt like the world had stopped. For years, fans had seen him as indestructible, the vet who could face any challenge, brave any weather, and still manage a smile at the end of the day. But now, the man known for saving others found himself confronting a battle that no one could fight for him. It began quietly, with fatigue that he couldn't shake off, and persistent aches he dismissed as part of aging. Dr. Pol had always been tough, the kind of man who would work through pain rather than complain about it. But when his energy waned and his wife, Diane, noticed his struggle, she urged him to get checked. What doctors found changed everything. The diagnosis, though private in its specifics, was serious enough that Pol was forced to reconsider his future. After more than 5 decades of service, his body was signaling that it was time to slow down. For someone as active and determined as Dr. Pol, that realization was devastating. Friends and colleagues described the emotional toll as immense. He had dedicated his life to animals, missing holidays, family events, and rest days, all because his patients needed him. To imagine a world where he couldn't continue doing what he loved was heartbreaking. Yet, true to his nature, Dr. Pol faced his condition with grace and courage. Rather than retreating into silence, he spoke openly about gratitude for his family, his staff, and his loyal viewers. "Life isn't about what you can't do," he once said. "It's about what you can still give." That statement became his mantra. Despite the physical challenges, Dr. Pol continued appearing on his show, though at a gentler pace. He began mentoring younger veterinarians, passing down the wisdom he'd earned through a lifetime of experience. To his staff, he was still Doc, sharp, witty, and full of advice that no textbook could match. But behind the smiles, the emotional weight was real. The idea of saying goodbye, not just to his clinic, but to a purpose that had defined his entire existence, was difficult for him to accept. Animals had been his life's mission, and now he had to learn to take care of himself the way he had always cared for them. In moments of reflection, Pol credited his resilience to his upbringing, a childhood built on discipline, faith, and compassion. Even in the face of illness, he refused to let fear define him. His story became more than a diagnosis. It became a lesson in courage, reminding fans that true strength isn't about how long you can keep going, but how gracefully you can face life's hardest truths. When news of Dr. Pol's diagnosis reached the public, an outpouring of love flooded social media. Fans from across the world, farmers, pet owners, and fellow veterinarians, shared heartfelt messages and memories of how Dr. Pol had touched their lives. For many, he wasn't just a TV personality. He was a mentor, a symbol of hard work, compassion, and old-fashioned decency. But while fans were processing the news, no one felt the weight more deeply than his family. His wife, Diane, who has been by his side for over 50 years, became his rock through the hardest days. Their bond, built through decades of marriage, weathered countless challenges, from the early years of their modest veterinary practice to the demands of stardom. Through every storm, Diane was the steady hand behind Dr. Pol's success, and now she stood beside him once again, offering unwavering strength. Their children, Charles and Kathy, also rallied around him. Charles, who co-produces the incredible Dr. Pol, took on more responsibilities, allowing his father to slow down without feeling like he was stepping away completely. The Pol family turned their pain into purpose, focusing not on what was lost, but on preserving the legacy they had built together. As Dr. Pol's health became a topic of public discussion, fans expressed concern but also admiration. Many pointed out that even while facing personal struggles, he continued to inspire others through his humility and resilience. He didn't use his diagnosis as a reason for self-pity. Instead, he used it as a reminder to value life, family, and the connections that truly matter. "I've lived a blessed life," he reportedly said in one interview. "Every animal I've treated, every family I've helped, that's been my reward." Those words resonated deeply with viewers who saw in Dr. Pol not just a veterinarian, but a man of integrity and heart. Meanwhile, the incredible Dr. Pol remained on air, with episodes highlighting not just his medical skill, but the sense of community he built. Younger veterinarians like Dr. Lisa and Dr. Nicole began taking more prominent roles, ensuring that the spirit of the clinic would continue even as Pol stepped back. His mentorship became the cornerstone of his legacy, proving that true leadership isn't about doing everything yourself, but about preparing others to carry the torch. For his fans, seeing him surrounded by love brought comfort amid the sadness. Though his future as an active vet remains uncertain, one thing is clear: Dr. Pol's influence will endure far beyond his clinic walls. His lessons on compassion, perseverance, and service will continue to shape not only future veterinarians, but anyone who has ever cared for another living being. In the hearts of millions, Dr. Pol isn't just saying goodbye. He's leaving behind a legacy that will never fade. As Dr. John Pol steps back from the work that defined his life, there's an unmistakable sense of bittersweet reflection. For over 5 decades, he dedicated himself to the care of animals, rising before dawn, traveling dirt roads in Michigan's countryside, and tending to livestock in all weather conditions. His days were long, his work was exhausting, but his spirit never wavered. "You can't do this job if you don't love it," he once said, and love it he truly did. Now, as health concerns force him to slow down, Dr. Pol has taken time to reflect on what truly matters. "It's not about fame or even success," he reportedly shared with close friends. It's about the people you help and the lives you touch along the way. For Dr. Pol, those lives included not just the countless animals he treated, but the generations of viewers who found joy and inspiration in his story. At his clinic in Weidman, Michigan, the atmosphere has changed slightly. The familiar hum of activity still fills the halls, but the pace has softened. Younger vets now lead more of the operations, though Dr. Pol remains a guiding presence, sometimes sitting in his office, watching with pride as his protégé continue the mission he began. To them, he's not just a boss or mentor, he's family. His wife, Diane, continues to stand by his side, just as she always has. Together, they've spoken openly about the importance of gratitude, reminding fans that life's true measure isn't found in awards or money, but in the simple, quiet moments, a shared smile, a warm handshake, a pet's wagging tail. "We built this life together," Diane once said softly. "And no matter what happens, it's been a good one." In recent months, fans have also noticed that Dr. Pol's on-screen appearances have grown more emotional. He takes longer pauses, often smiling with the warmth of a man who knows he's lived fully. There's no bitterness, only peace, the kind that comes from knowing your work has made a difference, and indeed, it has. From his early days in rural practice to becoming a household name through the incredible Dr. Pol, his career has bridged generations. He's shown young viewers that kindness isn't weakness, that hard work is honorable, and that caring for animals is one of humanity's noblest callings. His story has inspired countless aspiring veterinarians, many of whom cite him as the reason they pursued the profession. Though the time has come for him to say goodbye to much of the hands-on work he loved, his spirit endures through those he has trained and the lives he's touched. His clinic remains open, his show continues to bring smiles, and his wisdom lives on in every student, farmer, and animal lover who's ever taken his lessons to heart. When asked what he hopes people will remember about him, Dr. Pol simply said that I tried my best and that I cared. For millions around the world, that's more than enough.